So if you have not read this series, I'm now going to talk about spoilers. So please dip out now, because this book, you need to go into this series completely blind, okay? Because that's the only way to do it. So if you haven't read Scythe, please leave. Um, and I can't. I'm going to kind of talk about them interchangeably. So if you haven't read the whole series, you should probably bow out now too, because I can't promise that I'm going to keep all this separate as I talk. But go read it, and then come back to this video so we can crash out together. And even if you're watching this video 10 years in the future and need to talk about this book, DM me, because I will still need to talk about this book with somebody that understands the absolute insanity that this was. So yeah, definitely come back, but please leave now if you have not read the entire trilogy. Okay, so first of all, what the hell was this? Because I am still in shock. I finished this series, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I meant to like record this video earlier, but I had a lot of stuff going on, and then I also had to just like digest and figure out what I was going to say, because it's insane the amount of plot that fits into these books. Like, again, they're not tiny, but they're not huge either. So I knew it from the moment that they said that Faraday axed himself, that that was a lie and that he faked his own death, or that somebody else killed him. Like, I didn't believe that crap for a second. I was like, there is no way that that man is not alive. And I was right. And when at the end, when Citra like ends up finding him, I was just like, oh my god, I am so like, I didn't believe it. But by the end of the book, I was starting to think, well, we're not going to catch a break, so maybe it did happen. But then when he was fine, I was just like, oh my god, I needed this. We needed this bit of relief, because the rest of this book, crazy. And to just think that Faraday had no idea the two of them had to continue be training to be scythes and having to kill each other. Like, he had no idea. Like, the poor man. The shit he goes through in this series is what a guy. Like, I can't believe it. But the fact that he had no idea, and that Citra and Rowan ended up with two completely different mentors. Can we talk about Goddard? Like, should we? Because that was the most heinous and incredible villain I've ever read about in my entire life. He was so well done in a absolutely horrific way. Like, one of my favorite villains ever is Rumpelstiltskin from the Once Upon a Time TV series, and yet that is the kind of man that you love to hate, or you hate to love, and you just, every time he's on screen, you're just like, let's do this, because he's great, you know? He's done bad things, but he's just such a compelling character. And then you read about somebody like Goddard, and you're just, there is not a single redeeming quality about this man. And everything he says, I'm just in horror. And it's just crazy, because some of the scythes like follow him and believe in him, and it just goes to show you that not everybody sees people the same way. And it's crazy. And like I knew he was a villain from a very early time onward. And then Rowan ends up training to be him, and we got to see what his training methods are like, and it's just horrible. It's just awful. And then when it gets revealed that that child he kidnapped is the freaking, what's his name? Xenocrates? Xenocrates, like, illegal child. I was just like, oh my god, she's collateral. This is crazy. And then finally, when Rowan like kills them all, that was an incredible scene. Like, that poor boy. Like, I don't think Rowan had every reason on multiple occasions to become the villain that people thought he was, and he never did. And I respect him for that, and I respect Neal Shusterman for doing that, because he was showing with Rowan at every turn that there is always, you can always still choose the good path. I just kept waiting. I'm like, he's gonna turn to the dark side. It's gonna be Anakin Skywalker all over again. But then it wasn't, and I'm so grateful that it never was, because I was rooting for Rowan and Citra for a very long time. It's like the classic. It's not even enemies to lovers. It's like it's forbidden love, and like there's this classic like doomed lovers at the same time. Like, it's almost like a Romeo and Juliet thing, but worse. And I never thought that they would get their happy ending, and then they did, and I'm just still in awe that that even happened. I don't remember a lot of like the individual details of the first book, but crazy, absolutely crazy. And then comes book 2, and like I said before, I wasn't overly wowed by Scythe. Like, it was great, I liked it. I think I give it 4 stars, because it was just missing that extra special quality that gives a book 5 stars. And then I read Thunderhead, and I couldn't pick my jaw up off the floor. This is a 5-star read for sure, because the fact that the author brought back Goddard, my flowers were gasted. I was in shock. I was sitting there just like the biggest emotion I can say that describes the series is horror. Absolute horror at everything that happens. Because what do you mean that Ein kidnapped Rowan's best friend and trained him to be a scythe so that she could off him and put Goddard's soul essentially into Rowan's best friend's dead body and bring Goddard back. What do you mean? Like, when that happened, I could have stared at a wall for 3 weeks and not noticed. Because I couldn't believe the author went there. I never, through the whole process of trying to figure out who was trying to bring Marie and Citra down, like, I figured it was Ayn because she ended up being alive, and I was like, how is that possible? But I figured she was just trying to enact vengeance, and I never once thought that Goddard would come back into the picture. It never crossed my mind. It was the most insane plot twist I've ever encountered, and I was just horrified. Because, like, why did it have to be Rowan's best friend? Like, oh my god, that is absolutely horrific. And then everything just started to hit the fan after that. And then the sinking of their city. Like I said, it's like watching the whole series is like watching a train go off the tracks in slow motion, and you cannot look away, but you can't even describe the emotions you're feeling, because everybody dying, Marie, like, knowing they were going to die and putting Citra and Rowan in that vault to hopefully preserve them. Meanwhile, Munira and Faraday are going off on some hunt to find the failsafe to save the Scythe, and they have no idea. The fact that they don't find out that the two of them are even dead for, I think, like a year or something. Like, they don't even know. Like, you spend like the first however long of this book knowing that Faraday has no idea what happened to Rowan, Citra, and Marie, or the rest of the Scythe. They have no idea that the world is falling to pieces. And the way that Grayson and the Thunderhead in this book, like, the way that the Thunderhead is a character in and of himself it was so well done. Like, I had expected throughout reading this for the Thunderhead to become the overall enemy. I was pleasantly surprised when he wasn't. And it was just like, apologies, I got interrupted. And the third book, I think, is my favorite because it takes everything from the other two, adds all these extra layers, and just really drives home all the different points and messages and themes that Schusterman was trying to get across. And comes with so much freaking anxiety, and yet wraps up the series so perfectly. All the different point of views, the island where Faraday are, the way the Thunderhead circumvents all the ways that the island was meant to keep him out. The rockets, and the fact that throughout the whole book, the Thunderhead is trying to create another version of himself to go with humanity to the stars, and like just slowly piecing that together. Like the slow decline of Goddard's sanity and all the horrible things he does. And the way that he weaves in the whole Tonus thing, I thought was incredible. Because in the first book, it's just this passing thing. They talk about the Tonus cults. And then it slowly becomes more important until now we're dealing with Grayson being the Toll. And it was just genius the way all that went. The fact that the entire population went unsavory when Endura sank. I thought that was incredible. And the fact that the Thunderhead let out like this scream through all of its speakers with the rage and sorrow of what had happened, and the Tonus were like, oh my gosh, it's the great, I don't know what they called it. I can't remember what they call it. But that thing that the Tonus has been waiting for this whole time, but it was the Thunderhead, which the Tonus don't even like, and it was just the way it all came together. And the fact that Grayson, after everything he went through in book 2, is now the only one that the Thunderhead will talk to. It was just beautiful, the way it all came together. I applaud Neal Shusterman so much. I can't even begin to describe how amazing the way he wove all these points together was. And then how you find out that Goddard is the one that's been thwarting the attempts for space travel this whole time. That they could have gotten rid of the Scythemen, but one man, and I'm sure other people, but mostly one man's arrogance got in the way of the entire universe's like survival. Just crazy. There were so many moments in here where things could have gone horribly wrong. I was on my edge of my seat the entire time, just like biting my nails, and I didn't even know what to expect. So much could have gone wrong. And the introduction of Jericho was so cool. I love that character. I just love how naturally they blended into the whole narrative, and just the way that Schusterman explored the gender identity with that character and everything. And it was great. I loved it. And I love that Jericho and Grayson stayed on Earth, and as far as I know, like, end up together. Like, it's great that they both found happiness, especially Grayson. And I'm sad that Grayson and Citra will never meet again, and that, like, Faraday lost both Citra and Rowan forever, essentially. And I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Oh my god, don't cry. And yet they're all safe and happy, and that's more than I could have asked for or hoped for. And the way that the Scythe failsafe was these plagues, these viruses that will just choose at random, completely removing the human element of the sites from the equation, is just pure poetry. Pure poetry. It's beautiful. And then the part that choked me up the most, I guess there's actually two. So the one is when Citra dies getting to the rocket, and like a part of me is just like, that's it. It's over for her. They're not gonna bring her back. I was so stressed. And then the fact that they had to put her in the hold, and Rowan had to wait like 110 years to talk to her again. But then like they wake her up, and you can tell that he still loves her. That was the most beautiful thing I've ever read. Like I was a mess. But somehow, even more painful and sad than that, more emotional, was the chapter near the end when Ein brings back Tiger. Like you're hearing Tiger, like Tiger's talking, and you're just like, what is this? What is happening? And then Ein goes, hello, Tiger. The same way that she's been doing it to all these constructs she keeps talking to the whole time. I was crying so hard. Because I knew, like, I was hoping this whole time that Ein had a heart, and she did. And when she is the one who kills Goddard in the plane, I couldn't believe it, because we've been waiting for this whole time. Just like, oh my god, do something. And then she finally does, and it's just to like stop him from crashing the plane, is what you think, right? But then on the other hand, I was just like, Ein doesn't know that you can't revive people here. But then she wasn't going to revive him anyway, is just the most insane thing. Because like after all of that nonsense, all of the lives he endangered, everything, Goddard goes down with a quick knife to the throat, basically, from the one person he's trusted the most the entire time, and it's over in a second. All that over in a second, because it just goes to show that, like, first off, you never know when it's your time, and secondly, like, none of it was worth it, you know? Yeah, wow. I'm honestly probably definitely never going to recover from this series. Like, when people say this lives in my mind rent free, it lives in my mind rent free. And I've never meant those words more in my life. And I've never read something that was so thought provoking and entertaining at the same time. And like, this is true literature. True literature, true books should make you think, should make you question your own worldview, should make you question the world itself, politics, morals, people. Like, it should have you questioning everything and coming up with a new frame of reference for your life. And that's like the whole point of reading. It shows you things you'll never experience yourself.